To teachers and caregivers of daycare centers, my name is Raven Noble, and today I shall be teaching CPR, how to give CPR to infant and children. I will start by presenting my presentation, and as we go on through the day, I'm going to be demonstrating and showing you different videos on how to properly give CPR. My goal today is to tell you what CPR is, the importance of CPR administration, how to properly administer CPR to an infant and child, when to deliver an AED shock, and the recovery position after you have delivered CPR. What is CPR? CPR is a technique that artificially supports circulation and ventilation for a victim of cardiopulmonary arrest. So in other words, we are providing circulation and breaths to a victim, and that's what it means by artificially support, because we're doing it. They're not doing it on their own, we're doing it for them. It involves chest compressions and mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing. This process keeps oxygenated blood circulating to the brain and other vital organs until the heart can return to its normal rhythm. With that being said, we are the ones who are giving the heart the rhythm, and we're delivering the blood, we're delivering oxygen to the heart, which is helping to go to the lung. We're delivering it to the lungs, and it's helping the blood to circulate throughout the body. When you think about CPR, the main guidelines that we're trying to produce is CAB. That's an acronym standing for compression, airway, and breathing. Compressions, when dealing with an infant older than 1, you're delivering 2 inches on adult, you're pushing down 2 inches on an adult breastbone 100 times per minute to move oxygenated blood to the organ. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. I shall demonstrate it for you in just a second. A is for airway. Open the airway and breathing. For blockage, watch for the rise and chest of the air movement. So when you're going to do that, you're going to open their mouth. Most people use the sweeping method. That no longer, according to the American Heart Association, that is no longer allowed, because sometimes with doing that motion, you can push whatever object in their throat further down, which will cause further complication. The B stands for breathing. In this process, we use the head tilt chin lift. That's where you press firmly on the head and lift upward with the chin, nice and gently, of course. And that's how you give in your breathing. When to activate emergency response. Men and children are thought to develop respiratory arrest and bradycardia before they develop cardiac arrest. If these children receive prompt CPR before development of cardiac arrest, they have a survival rate. If the rescuer leaves a child with respiratory arrest or bradycardia to phone the emergency response system, the child may progress to cardiac arrest, and the chance of survival is much lower. For this reason, if the lone rescuer, meaning if you're by yourself, finds an unresponsive child who is not breathing or only gasping, the rescuer should provide 5 cycles of about 2 minutes of CPR before activating the emergency response. That's a lot of big words, so let me break them down. What it means by respiratory arrest. Respiratory arrest is when you're breathing any other way that is not normal. If they're, or if they're gasping, or if their breathing is extremely shallow, those are not normal breaths. Those children are respiratory arrest. Bradycardia means slowing down of the heart. So if you leave a child who is having trouble breathing and their heart rate is lower than 60 beats per minute, if you leave them before delivering CPR, it is a very good chance that they will not survive. So you must stay with them until after you have delivered those 5 cycles of CPR. One rescue a child sequence. That means if you're by yourself, that means if you come upon a child and you're by yourself and you see them into cardiac arrest, or you see that they have passed out and they're not breathing, check the child for response and check for breathing. How you do that is the look, listen, and feel method. First you say, hey, are you okay? If you get no response until that time, it's time for you to call and say, I need someone to go and call 911. That was step number 2. If that person does have, if you do have somebody else that can call 911, that's great, but sometimes you won't. At that time, you look, listen, and feel. If you're going to look for the rise and fall of the chest, you're going to listen for breathing, and you're going to feel for the air on your cheeks. That does not happen. Step 3 says check the child's pulse. You always check the pulse on the side that is closer to you, and that is on this side. At this point, I'm on this side. So what you're going to do is you're going to place 2 fingers, you're going to find the trachea, and you're going to place it on the carotid artery, which is right beside the trachea. You can use the femoral artery, but our mannequin has no femoral artery, so I can't show it to you at this time. If within 10 seconds you don't definitely feel a pulse or if, despite the amount of oxygenated ventilation, the heart rate is less than 60 beats per minute with signs of perfusion, perform cycles of compression and breath 30 to 2 starting with compression. What that is saying is that when you're getting ready to deliver CPR, you're going to do 30 breaths first, and then, you're going to do 30 compression first, and then you're going to do 2 breaths. After 5 cycles, after you have done the 30 to 2 5 times, if someone has not already done so, activate the emergency response system, and then use the AED defibrillator if it's available. For a 2-child rescue sequence, you basically gonna do the same steps, but if you have 2 people that has found the child unresponsive, you tell the other person to go call 911, and they should bring back an AED if possible. Seeing that this is a daycare, you should at least have one on hand at all times. So, after that happens, if you're by yourself, when they go call, you should start the compressions and the breath. When they come up, the ratio turns from 30 to 2 to 15 to 2. That means you'll give 15 compressions, and then the second person will deliver 2 breaths over a period of 1 second. Now I'm going to show you a video first, and then I'm going to demonstrate for you the proper way to deliver CPR to a child.
Today I'm going to show you how to perform CPR on a child. CPR is vital in keeping the brain and vital organs alive long enough for the emergency.
He's going to do something a little different than I'm going to teach you, but just still pay attention to the process.
What you need to do is first of all make sure the area you're going to be working in is nice and safe, so you don't injure yourself. Then you're going to try and wake the child up. You can ask them a question, give them a command, and then check their shoulders to see if they respond. Hello, can you hear me?
Check
Come on,
for
wake up.
response.
Open your eyes. If they don't respond, put a hand on the forehead and gently tilt the head back.
That's the head tip chin lift method that I was just talking about.
Their toes for 10 seconds, checking for signs of normal breathing.
10 seconds, but no more than 10. Time is
the
essence here.
coming to you. What you then need to do is give the child some rescue breaths. We start by giving 5 rescue breaths in quick succession. Tilt the head back, pinch the nose, and breathe 5 times.
You see how he's pinching the nose? You will have to pinch the nose and just breathe through the mouth on a child older than 1.
Once you've done those 5 rescue breaths, place it in one hand in the center of the
Now in
chest.
this place, he's using one hand, and children, you can use one hand, it all depends on their size. So with one hand for a child, let's say 3 or 4, you can use one hand because you don't want that amount of pressure on their breastbone. But if you have a heavier child, then you are allowed to use 2 hands. Whichever way is the best way to deliver proper compressions.
After the 30th compression, move straight back to the head.
I'm going to show you another video on the 2 rescuer. This video doesn't have audio, but as you can see, he's by himself, but it is someone over here, and they're doing that, the AED pads, which of course I'm going to show you how to use in just a moment. But he's still doing the 30 to 2 while he's at it by himself, and then they're going to start back doing it to the 15 to 2 that you're supposed to do with the 2-person ratio. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the proper way to deliver CPR to a child. First, you walk up on them, like I said. Hey, are you okay? They're not breathing or they're not responding to me. So next I tell someone who's ever available, can someone please call 911 and bring me back an AED? If possible, bring me back an AED. At that point in time, I tilt the head back, I look, listen, and feel. I'm looking for rise and fall of the chest. I'm listening for breath sound, and I'm feeling for air on my cheek, and just to see if anything's coming up. As I tilt their head back and lift their chin, and this is a rescue pad that you put over their mouth. That's just so you won't, when you're giving mouth to mouth, this is just so that you won't come into contact with the patient, in that way. But you're gonna close their nose, tilt their head back, make sure this is placed properly, and you're gonna deliver 2 breaths over the period of 1 second. So. As you can see, the chest rolls and falls properly. And that's what you want to happen every time. Next, hold on.
Go.
Next, I'm going to show you how to properly deliver the compressions. So what you want to do is, we have what you call a sternum, and then we have a xiphoid process. What you don't want to do is get at the very end of this breastbone, because we have the xiphoid process. At that point in time, if you get to that xiphoid process and you start doing compressions on it, it's a possibility that you might break that, and that is going to further complicate us. So what you're going to do, you're going to go at least an inch or an inch and a half to 2 inches above that. You're going to interlock your fingers, because this is a bigger patient, of course. You're going to interlock your fingers. At this point in time, you're going to start the chest compression, and you go within 2 inches deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Those are the proper chest compressions. After you deliver those compressions, you deliver the breaths that I showed you how to do in the beginning. Okay? Next, we have CPR in infants. First thing first, there are key differences for infant CPR than there are for children older than 1. Number 1 is the location of where you check the pulse. In a child, hold it. Okay, on a child, instead of using their carotid artery, we're going to use their brachial artery, which is for them. We're going to turn their arms over, and we're going to check between their forearm, where the elbow, the bend of the elbow. And the technique of delivering compression for them, instead of doing the interlocking of the fingers, you're using 2 fingers if you're with 1 person. But if you're with 2 people, you're going to be using the thumb motion. I should further explain that for you. The compression ventilation ratio and rate for 2 rescuers is the same as it is for a child. So if it's 2 rescuers, you're still going to do the 15-2. If it's just you by yourself, you're still going to use the 30-2. When to activate the emergency response, it's the exact same way for a child. If you did not witness the arrest and you are alone, provide 2 minutes of CPR. Whereas for the other one, it was the 5 cycles. So it's the exact same thing: 2 minutes, 5 cycles, whichever one you can do better. Leaving the infant to activate the emergency response system and get the AED. If the arrest is sudden and witnessed, meaning if you witnessed that child going to arrest, if you saw it at that time, you can go call 911 and you can go get the AED before you start compression. That's only if you witnessed it. Okay? Rescue for 1 infant, you place the 2 fingers in the infant's chest, just below the nipple line. Do not press on the bottom of the breastbone. So you find the nipple line of the child and you go just below it. Push hard and fast to get chest compression. Press the infant breastbone down and at least 1/3 depth. So instead of the 2 inches that you did for the older child, you're only going to do 1/3. Okay? Deliver compressions in a smooth fashion at a rate of at least 100 beats per minute. At the end of each compression, make sure you allow the chest to recoil, meaning you allow it to come back to its normal position and expand completely. Chest recoil allows the blood flow into the heart and is necessary to create blood flow during chest compression. Incomplete chest compression will reduce the blood flow created by the chest compression. Chest compression and chest recoil relaxation time must be approximately equal. Minimize interruption at the chest compression. Pause it. 2 thumb encircling hand chest compression technique. This is if you only have two people for this process. So what one person is going to do, or the other person is going to do, is this right here. While this one rescue is going to take this is my breathing mask, and they're going to hold this over the infant's nose and mouth, and you're going to hold your hand in the C position to make sure this is sealed properly, make sure no air can leak. While one person is going to be holding that, delivering the breath, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and place it around the infant's body, and you're going to take your 2 thumbs, remember we're under the nipple line, you're going to take your 2 just below it, and you're going to do the compressions this way. After a count of 15, and make sure you count out loud so you can let the person know who's delivering the breath just how many breaths they need to give. So after you count to 15, that person, whoever your second person is going to properly give the breath. Okay, and that was for 2 people. After each compression, completely release the pressure on the breastbone and allow the chest to recoil. After 15 compression, pause briefly for the second rescue to open the airway. It says head, tilt, chin, lift, but in infants, you do not do the head, tilt, chin, lift. Why? Because an infant, it is possible that you can cut off their airway. What you want to do for an infant is maintain a neutral position between the external parts of the ear and the shoulder line. Because if you tip the hair back too much, you're cutting off their airway. Whereas with us, you will open up our airway. So you want to keep their body as neutral and aligned as possible. Continue compression and resting ratios of 15:2 for 2 rescuers. Switch and roll every 2 minutes. So that means after this person gets tired of doing the thumb every 2 minutes, you need to rotate. Now I'm going to show you a video on the CPR in infants.
If you arrive on the scene, check the scene for safety.
Always check for safety.
Check the
Safety is very
infant for
important.
consciousness. Gently tap the shoulder or flick the bottom of the heel and shout.
Baby, are you okay? Are you okay?
No response, call 911 immediately.
Call 911.
If the infant is lying on their stomach, turn them onto their back. They should be lying on a hard, flat surface. Check for breathing and signs of life. Watch their chest for any normal movement. Look for signs of life and breathing for no more than 10 seconds. No breathing or signs of life, begin CPR. Position 2 or 3 fingers on the center of the infant's breastbone just below the nipple line. Compress the chest 1.5 inches in depth 30 times.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
After giving compressions, give breaths.
Remember, she's
Tilt the
by
infant's head
herself.
back
If you're by
slightly,
yourself,
using one hand on the
32,
forehead
no matter what
and lifting
figure
up on
is,
the infant's
they're
chin with 2
infant, child,
fingers
or
with the
grown-up
other
for that
hand.
matter. If you're by
Cover
yourself,
both the
32.
infant's nose and mouth with your mouth. Give 2 small, slow breaths, watching for the infant's chest to rise. Continue with 30 compressions, 2 breaths.
Okay.
Continue CPR until...
Okay, so all they were saying all in one is make sure they're on a flat, hard surface. You really want to make sure anybody is on a flat, hard surface if their situation does not compromise it. So make sure they're on a flat, hard surface. You're going to look, listen, and feel for breathing. After you can tap the baby to ask to see if they're okay. If no response. And still remember, you don't head, tilt, chin, lift. Maintain their body in a neutral position. Take your 2 fingers, go just below the nipple line. 30 compressions. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. After that, you take your pocket mask. If you don't have one, but if you do, it's better to use it. You cover the baby's nose and mouth, and you look for a rise and fall of the chest over a period of seconds after giving that 1 breath. After you see the rise and fall of the chest, you go right back into the 30 compressions. Okay? Next, I'm going to show you how to use the AED on a child. My AED, unfortunately, does not have the 2-child pads that it's talking about in my PowerPoint. Okay, now this is the AED. So if you have, and this is for either a child or an infant, if you have an AED available, the first thing you're going to do is take out the pads. Some AEDs come with pads just for children, but unfortunately for this demonstration, I do not have them. These are for adults, but even though they are, I'm going to show you how to properly place them on an infant and or a child. So what you do is you put this back, into the right place that it needs to go, and you turn your thingy on, your AED on. You place one on the
Analyze and
front,
talk with them. Do not touch the patient.
and you put one on the back. It says it's not touch the patient, but I'm just trying to show you how to place it. You do not
Shock
want those.
advised. Stand clear.
When it tells you the shock is advised, that's time for you to push
Shock
that
now.
button.
Press the red button now.
This button is the button you putting the button you push
Shock delivered.
when you're delivering the shock. Make sure when you're delivering that shock that your hands are not on the victim or are not on the child at all.
Do not touch
Because
the
if your
patient.
hands